Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cinematic Trinity, where we talk movies, games and TV shows. And happy 2025, everybody.
Woo-hoo!
We're back. We're not doing our sort of wrap-up of 2024.
2023.
That is a sort of pending video. We're still compiling that. But we thought we'd come to you at the beginning of this year's season to give our review for Better Man. Let's get into it. Better Man is the Robbie Williams musical biopic, another addition to that genre of films.
As if we didn't need any more.
I know. And you know what? To get straight into it, it was good.
It was good, yes. I'd just like to start off by saying that this was a good film. Don't let the monkey put you off, because it nearly put me off. I was in two minds about whether I wanted to see it or not. But don't let the monkey put you off. Definitely go and watch it, especially if you are aware of Robbie Williams and you like him, like his music, even just a couple of his songs, stuff like that. Still definitely go and see it, because it's a good film. It's a good film.
Definitely when the trailers came out for it and like you see it's like a musical biopic, but the one change is that Robbie Williams is a monkey. You kind of like, as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, this is a bit stupid. Like, everyone's got to have a niche. It's like, especially because I think the trailer for that came out quite close to the Pharrell Williams one, where it's like in Lego. So I was like, everyone's got to have a niche now, haven't they? It's like monkeys and Lego. What's next? Kind of thing. But yeah, no, playing it, like, story-wise, it was all pretty solid. It's a darker one. Like, don't get me wrong.
100%. Well, I think Robbie Williams has had quite a dark and crazy life, and I'm sure he's the first person to say it, isn't he? And obviously, it's very much from his perspective and his telling of it, obviously, but he's also narrating it all as well. But I think it is really, like, for the first second, I was like, well, this monkey is a little... I don't know whether I'm going to get on with this monkey. But then, literally, like, the next scene, I'd completely forgotten that he was a monkey. And actually, I quite liked... And I was thinking of this while I was watching it, but then I thought I'm ridiculous for even thinking about this. The fact that it's a monkey who's also, like, wearing clothes. I don't know why, I just found that, like, really funny and cute. I don't know. But I just love all the outfits in this as well. Like these sort of like Adidas, red tracksuit that he's wearing and all stuff like that. Like, I just think it's brilliant. So actually, you do forget that it's a monkey very, very quickly. Definitely. Like, you get over it within a second,
definitely.
So it doesn't take away. And I was thinking to myself, like, would it be better if it was just somebody, like a human, but I don't think it took away. I don't know whether it added anything, but it certainly didn't take anything away from the film.
Yeah, I think, like, doing it that way, you, like, the fact that it's like a monkey, I feel like if it was someone else trying to act like Robbie Williams and, like, maybe try and look like him, in your mind, you're like, well, that's not Robbie Williams, Whereas,
well, that's like, your mind.
No,
but
like,
mind
you get that, don't you? If, like, they don't quite look like, Taron Egerton looks like a younger Elton John. So, like, you can visualise that and be like, right, this is fine, I believe it. Whereas, like, if you kind of, from the offset, go, this monkey is Robbie Williams, you'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, he's not a random guy who maybe looks or doesn't look like Robbie Williams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think on the whole it works, and like it gels well,
work.
like the CGI with the live action and like the different set pieces.
It's very good CGI, isn't it? Like, there isn't any times where you feel like taken out of it because the CGI is rubbish or anything like that. Like, it's all really, really good stuff. I think it is a very well made film. Like, I think there's a lot of good set pieces, a lot of good action, and obviously the musical numbers, which was really interesting. But I think that, as much as it is a musical biopic, like, it's not, it still feels like the music isn't the centre of it in a weird way. I don't know if you felt the same, because the
so
songs just weren't in that kind of musical format. It's just songs are in it because he's a singer.
Well, it's like it is like Rocket Man in the sense of there are like musical numbers, but they do like flesh out bits of his life or like stuff that happens
through the song.
It's not like I wrote this song, it's called Angels, or I wrote Millennium. It's like, he might not have written it at the time this event happened in his life, but this is used to like move the plot along.
Yeah,
you know, like, which
we like that, don't we?
Yeah,
Much better than, because ultimately you're just going to get it wrong, aren't you? Like, there's no point in trying to have it 100% true to life. As much as I'd love to see it, you know, I'd quite like to watch a documentary on Robbie Williams now, if he's got an autobiography or biography or whatever. But you can never make it right, so you may as well just completely go the other way and just you know make it
fantastical.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely like the musical numbers. There's some good choreography. Recently we watched like Emilia Perez, like, which is like a Spanish Mexican like musical on Netflix. Which
drop us a comment if you want to see our review of Emilia Perez.
Don't. Like opposite ends. Like again, it is like it is like a Spanish movie. Like all the songs are in Spanish. So whether that like takes away from it, maybe.
In Spanish?
Yeah.
Are they all in
Apart
Spanish?
from like the
few bits of talking.
Yeah. But like, you know, whether that takes away from it, but like there's no like kinetic energy in the song, so it's all very like stilted. Whereas like this is like bombastic, like people are dancing in the background, they're all like busting out moves, they're all like moving across the set. Like when I think probably the best musical number was when it's rock DJ.
Yeah, that
like
is,
when they're going through London.
It's a fantastic set piece, and I've heard a lot of them talking about making it and how it was like took them like a year and a half for them to get the sign off to shut down Regent Street in London to be able to film it, and then even then something went wrong, so they couldn't film it, so they had to wait another 4 months to film it again because and they just lost loads of money off that as well. But it's a really brilliant set piece, so I'm glad that they were able to keep it, like persevered with it.
And that's like a thing as well, like it shows the passage of time, like this in like the context is when he joins Take That, so it's like an upbeat song and it's like where the band goes, all the different outfits and like the progression of time.
The film is really, really good at time passing, but not boring, and it kind of just focuses. It's like the whole film is like a million miles an hour, and then it kind of stops for a bit, and you just like focus on that one moment rather than it being the other way round. Rather it being slow, and then you have a million miles an hour for 15 minutes of you know loads of B-roll and you know things moving quickly and getting in the car and then getting out the other door and you're in a different place and all stuff like that. It's almost the opposite. It's very, very fast paced. Like there's a lot to fit in. But yeah, as you said at the beginning, it's just also very dark. It's got a very dark undertone throughout the whole thing for obvious reasons. You know, it's talking about his obviously battles with addiction and stuff like that. And it does it really well, I think, because it's a good representation, not that I know, but it feels like it's a good representation of it, but it's not, it doesn't bang on about it too much either. You know, like some films where it's like they're an addict and there's so many scenes of you need to get yourself together and stuff like that, and it's like, oh god, you know, like come on. There's not really a lot of that. It's just he's just going through it. It's very lonely in a way.
I think it's his I like the representation of like self-doubt and stuff. Like when he sees like past versions of himself in the crowd, like being like, you're crap, like, you know, you don't deserve this kind of thing. And it's like, you know, that stuff's really cool, and that goes to somewhere like cool in the film, which we'll get into in like the spoiler section. But I think on the whole, like very like visually pleasing, good like set pieces, stuff like that. Acting was good as well. I feel like the guy that got to play Robbie Williams was good. Like, you know.
But I also think it's nice to have Robbie Williams still like
doing
narrating it.
And
it's definitely his voice.
Oh yeah,
just singing over. He's just like
no. It would have been it. That's jarring as well when they've got someone playing somebody, but they also try and sing. Like again, Taron Egerton, fine, but like the whole Amy Winehouse film that came out.
I feel like Taron Egerton is actually the exception, like to it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
He is so fantastic, and I won't talk about Rocket Man because it's just one of my favourite films.
The comparison gets made, though, doesn't it?
But like, but he is the exception. So I think it's good that they still like. It's very much about him, but they don't try and, you know, I think it's good that he was narrating it. It's a long story short.
Well, it's good. It's his involvement. It's his story. You know, it's not being like botched or anything like that. It's not like he just went, make a film about me, I don't care. It's like he is involved. He's telling his truth and whatever, and like his narration adds a lot, like comedy wise, and
it does,
to the story.
Like he's a really funny bloke, isn't he? Like just in general, and like all the interviews that we've seen, and obviously I know he's been around. Like if you're British, I think that he is a British icon. And I think it's people like this that, I know obviously he's had like a bit of a wild ride of it, but it makes you proud to be British.
Right,
you know,
I
think like people like Robbie Williams
has some charm, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's so iconic. Like when you think about it, and it's been so mad to hear all the stuff online about the fact that people in America have absolutely no idea who he is, and that is just so baffling. Like you just can't believe how famous he is over here and how iconic he is, and then just you know, across the pond, he's like nobody knows him. But...
I always wondered that with like the Bob Dylan biopic, because I can't say Bob Dylan's like huge over here in the UK.
I don't really know a lot about it.
But like America, they'd be like, you know, probably gushing over that film kind of thing. But it's interesting, like that dynamic. I've not seen it before, because like everyone knows who Queen are, everyone knows who Elton John is, you know, like these biopics and like Johnny Cash, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting having one.
But you see that throughout the film as well, because it's very like British focused. It's all about him going to Nebworth and doing all these stuff in Britain. He's not talking about, I want to break America, you know, or anything like that. It's all very like localized to Britain. So it is like interesting. But so I found it interesting about learning more about Take That, because I didn't really know. I always knew Robbie Williams just as Robbie Williams. Like I never knew it as Robbie Williams from Take That, because I never liked Take That. But I always knew Robbie Williams because my grandma, absolutely loved Robbie Williams. Like she was obsessed with him, and I'm sure she still is to this day, which is just the cutest thing. But he's interesting seeing him talk a lot about online, and he keeps getting asked questions about like, oh, don't you think it makes like Gary Barlow look bad? But it's not like, who cares? You know, it's a film about Robbie Williams, you know, it's his side of it, and it doesn't even make him come off that bad really, because he's hardly even in it.
He's hardly in it.
He talks about him, but he's not really in it. So
but like, you know, they are best friends now, and it's like at that point in time, Gary Barlow was like a foil to him. Like he did get in the way of Robbie's like success kind of thing. Like you know, they kind of crossed swords and stuff, like they had disagreements and that. So like at the time it's accurate, you know, it's an accurate depiction. But like his old manager from Take That, like, doesn't get let off easy. Like, he does just say he was awful, like, to him. And, you know, it's interesting, all these different cameos from, like, music, British history, like, the, you know, the Gallagher brothers from, like, Oasis.
It's so funny when, because you do see Liam Gallagher in this, and I don't know who plays him, like, who cares? But you just see him, like, almost walk by the door. And it's literally like they're doing, like, a parody of it, almost. Like, it's really, really funny. Like, they're not, like... I think the film doesn't... Even though it's quite a serious film and all the serious bits, it does take itself seriously. But all those little bits and bobs, it doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think is good.
As I think you said in the car, it does start off very, like, crass, like the language and stuff. Like, it's just... It's like young Robbie Williams.
If you're, like offended easily by bad language or swearing or anything like that, don't bother, because just from the start to the finish, it's F this, see that, whatever. Like, but I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Like, I find it really refreshing to just
it's just nice, like,
see it all laid out. You know?
Like non-PG like biopics are always nice, because like this is what it would have been like at the time. You know,
exactly.
It's not like they were doing a bit of drugs. Oh, we can't show that though.
Oh,
like,
you know,
it's implied. It's I know fully he's doing drugs and like swearing and like sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. All these different things.
Those words coming out of your mouth.
I know.
It does not suit you.
Well, they're out there now. They're out there. But yeah, it's an interesting story. Like it almost didn't deserve to be as good as it was, like, again, from our like initial impressions. But then when you see it, like, actually Robbie Williams did have an interesting story to tell, because I was like,
he's got a lot to say.
Yeah, no, because when I went into it, I was like, Robbie Williams ain't that big, and then you're like, oh wait, no, actually, early 2000s, like,
he's
British,
an icon.
I
think he's an icon, British icon.
So I think, like, we'll go into some spoilers now, like what it touches upon. It's weird when it's like a biopic, because obviously these things are in public knowledge anyway, it's all history, it's all happened, but we will do like a little dedicated spoiler section, because there are some cool bits in this movie. But I feel like from the offset we've already given our score on our scale, and it's a go watch it for me. And would you say a go watch it for you?
I don't think it's quite a masterpiece, because it's certainly not perfect, and it's certainly not as good as Rocket Man. But I did really, really enjoy it. Lots of lovely moments.
Yeah.
Lots of nice musical numbers. You know, they were very well placed.
Yeah.
And things like that. And also some nice heartwarming moments, you know, where he's talking about his nan and stuff like that. Like, I always think that's really lovely. So yeah, it had everything, I think, this film.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go and watch it. Like, I don't want to see this film like keep doing badly, because I don't think it's doing
no.
amazingly.
Might like research on like DVD or Blu-ray or something, maybe, or like streaming might pick it up and it go.
I hope so. Yeah, because it deserves to be seen.
Yeah, whilst it's in cinemas, go
and
watch
in
Batman.
cinemas as well, because honestly, like the songs sound incredible. Even just like that whole rock DJ set piece, like it sounds incredible. Through the speaker system in the cinema.
Exactly.
Like so, definitely like. Do it justice. Go and see it in the cinema. 100%.
Nice one. Well, let's get into some spoilers now, and this is your spoiler warning.
Spoilers ahead.
I mean, the story basically, you know, it is your standard biopic in many ways. It's you know, him from like early days, young boy Robbie Williams, up until him getting becoming a superstar. Basically, like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So,
but it's the classic thing of he's going up in fame, but he's personally
mental health,
and his mental health is just going down and down and down and down. So it's really interesting, like, and it's the classic tale, and it's the same with Elton John and all stuff
Taylor's
like that.
Oldest Time.
It's literally a Taylor's oldest
yeah.
time. Like, somebody needs to look at the data around like musicians or people in fame and what it does to you and stuff like that, because I just can't even imagine. And I think that you can really feel it in this film. Like, whenever he's talking about, like, or when there's just the shots of like him and he's got like all the paparazzi around him and all the cameras flashing, he's trying to get in the car and stuff like that, and you can really feel how he feels and how it's eating away at him, and also that contradiction of he wants to be in the limelight but also not at the same time, like that whole weird thing, you know. So
it's interesting, like, how from like a young age it was ingrained in his mind by like his dad, because like his dad wanted to be like a success, and he said the whole like, either you're born with it or you're a nobody. So like from that age it was kind of like insecurity was there to become famous and do good, or else you're kind of just stuck and you're worthless kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you get there and then you realise, oh, it's not so good as it is. I think it's like analogy is like his nan uses in the bathtub, where she like shows him the shining light, and she's like, this may feel good, but you know, once you're in it, it's kind of, you know, it'll be crap, you know. And it does, like, you know, it does show that very well.
It does show it very well.
And like the Take That stuff is interesting, because like I growing up, like, and it's not like I'm a massive Take That fan. I like some of their songs, but like I do remember like growing up the whole Robbie Williams coming back into the band and like doing the Progress album and doing like the Flood and stuff like that. I remember that at the time, but like I never like worried about him before that, like when he quit Take That. So like, this is an interesting, like, you know, how did that situation
that's funny
happen?
Because I as I say, I knew him before. I didn't know him from Take That, but I knew him in that space, like in between, you know, which is interesting, isn't it? But yeah, because I didn't know anything about how we like Take That formed and stuff like that. So I mean, it doesn't go into too much detail, because as I say, it's very fast paced. Like if you want to get the details, you're probably not going to get it from this film, but you're going to get going to get the general gist of what's happening. But it is really interesting to see what happened with Take That. And
I didn't realize the whole, like, they were originally doing like gay clubs before, like they were going to be like a boy band for gay clubs, and then like they branched out and obviously performed to like more women, and they exploded crazy.
And also just like watching like some of the, because obviously they show some of the like Take That performances, and just how like very boy bandy they were. I always see Take That as kind of them now, you know, in Gary Barlow now, but because as I say, I just wasn't interested in them back then. But it's like weird to think about, like, just
where they
started
kind of from,
like how and like the kind of band that they were at the time. It's really interesting. And then obviously Robbie Williams being there, and he's probably just too like big for it, really. Like, he's got too much of a personality to be in that
Well,
boy band environment, you know.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, Gary Barlow, like in the film, is like he's the songwriter, he gets the money, he writes the songs. Robbie Williams could do that, but there's no, like, you know, trust in him to do that. They don't want him to do that. They want Gary to succeed. So then it, like, eventually leads, like, to them kicking Robbie out the band, and then you get like a song number, which I really like, the bit where he, like, in the song, he like crashes into the water, and then it's like all the, because obviously at the time he's like listening to the radio about like Robbie Williams has quit Take That, all this like the freaking like the suicide hotline has been getting an influx of calls from like distressed Take That fans, and it's like him in the water like swimming around, and then like all these like fans come and like try clawing at him, and it's like the imagery of like the blood in the water and like the frenzy that happens, and then like it's the paparazzi frenzy as well, like all these paparazzi taking photos of him like drowning in the in like this metaphor or whatever it's like serving, you know.
And again, it's just a testament to the filmmaking,
like
isn't it? You know, and everything like that, and the vision that was there, because it was really good.
I couldn't believe it was the guy who did The Greatest Showman did
this. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, because I don't mind some of the songs in The Greatest Showman, but like as a whole, like the story and stuff in that was a bit like I could take it or leave it. But in this, it's like so.
The Greatest Showman, did we?
Yeah, but it's like so much. It's propelled a lot above that. But like, there's some interesting like imagery and stuff like that to kind of picture his like relationship with fame and like how it's poisoning him and stuff like that. And then you get like him meeting his then like girlfriend Nicole Appleton.
From All Saints. You know, never ever felt so low. Was someone come and take me out of this black hole?
No. Don't look at me to sing because I don't know that.
That's all the lyrics I know.
Right, okay. But they get a good like duet and stuff, and like that's like a little timeline. And you get the whole
that's a really nice sequence as well. It's like, you know, when they're like the memes where it's like, oh, those first like 10 minutes of Up, and it's telling the story about where how he meets like the grandma and then she dies, and it's like, oh, still a better story than Twilight. Like it is that is this sequence where they're dancing, but then they're going through life and their relationship, and then they're getting engaged, and then they have a baby, but
gets pregnant.
she gets she gets pregnant, but then is told by the and that's when it comes like crashing down, isn't it? Because it's going through all this lovely peace, and then she's told, basically, you know, pressured into having an abortion, which obviously must be incredibly traumatic for the both of them. So it touches a lot on that as well, but it's all so well done.
And it just adds to the like, oh, this is a bit of a darker biopic than I was expecting, kind of thing. Yeah. And you're like, oh, is that true? And then you look it up, and unfortunately it was. Sadly. Like, that's the cost of fame. Like, you know, they weren't even allowed to have like a baby together because of like the record company and stuff like that. Like, that's pretty shocking. Yeah. And like, you know, they have like their turmoil and stuff like that. Like him and Nicole, like they end up breaking up because just like, you know, he's having affairs and
he's an addict, isn't he? So
yeah.
It's like, you know, when you're an addict, again, I don't know. I've not been an addict. I don't
plan to be.
Let's hope that I don't end up spiraling out of control. But I can just imagine that when you're an addict, like that's it. You know, you're consumed by that, aren't you? And you're and it's so like. When in the film, he's obviously got all these like other monkeys, you know, if he's in a crowd, then he's got all the other monkey versions of him, like from past. And they're all, you know, screaming at him and they're saying, you're not good enough, I'm going to kill you, all stuff like this. Yeah. But he always like snaps back into it. So I think it's a really good representation of how, I don't know, this is the microphone, by the way. It's a really good representation of your inner thoughts versus how you can portray yourself.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
can still be the showman, and you can still be. It's like when you're talking. Yeah. Like, this is no comparison whatsoever. But when I used to play piano and I used to have to perform, I'd be playing the music, but I'd like black out. Like I wouldn't actually be able. I wouldn't know if you said to me, "Oh, how did that go?" I wouldn't know because I'd literally like black out. And I imagine it's like a similar thing.
Yeah,
I
no,
guess.
because it wasn't like I was almost expecting it to go into like maybe a typical biopic thing where he'd see like a past version of himself and then he'd like fumble on stage. But
He'd
like,
have a breakdown, but
yeah,
it's all
yeah,
like
but he doesn't.
it's all in his head.
Yeah, he doesn't. He is performing.
He's
like he's
still
singing.
the entertainer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
the way through it.
And it
yeah.
like gets to a bit like later on, it like culminates that whole like thread where like he sees his different versions of himself. Like he goes to Nebworth and sees a whole like the crowd turns into like hundreds of thousands of Robbie Williams in the crowd, and they just have like a fight.
Yeah.
And like because I didn't know if
It's brilliant. It sounds like really corny, but it's brilliant. Like when you're watching it.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to go see the film because we were all like we were kind of mixed on whether to see it or not. So I like Wikipedia'd the plot. And I was like reading it, and it was like, oh, and then he has a fight with his past selves and brutally murders his like his like youngest self. So I was like, that sounds really weird. And then yeah, it is. It's like just them in this field. He's like they're just killing each other, like stabbing,
Literally.
decapitating.
Yeah.
I liked how it was a good thing me and you watched the oh man, it's not Supreme. Oh no! What was the music?
The Rock DJ music
yes,
video.
Yes, that was
yeah,
it.
where he's stripping off and then he takes his skin off.
Yeah, it's like the skinless.
Yeah, because we'd never actually watched the music video.
Yeah, this is
so
what.
we watched. So I literally thought the same thing. I thought, thank God I watched that music video because there's
reference,
this muscly
yeah.
monkey, you know, that's no skin, just muscles.
Yeah,
and it's like
that's a good
I wouldn't
nod.
have got it as much if I hadn't
yeah.
just watched the music video. So that was really funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's music videos is just weird. I just don't get them.
You don't like
I
music
don't like
videos.
it. Yeah, I don't.
You think they're stupid.
Where they just don't like match the lyrics at all. Like, why does Rock DJ have Robbie Williams tearing his skin off? Like, what is the context there? It's like absolutely ridiculous. But I guess then at least we remember it.
Well, yeah,
You know,
that's
thing.
the whole point,
You know,
isn't it?
Yeah. But like, you get this fight scene and like, yeah, he kind of like it's him conquering it or like being, I've done Nebworth now. I've performed to 125,000 people. Like, I'm great.
There.
Yes, yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah, and like the film kind of ends with like his performance. I think it's like the Albert Hall maybe or somewhere.
Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah,
I think,
he's doing
in London.
it's for like a set basically, and he does like a duet with his dad doing Frank Sinatra's My Way. Because there is like this thing in the movie of like his dad, is he actually like a supporting influence or is he a bad influence on Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
Because like, he gave him his like thirst for fame and like wanting to be somebody, but then like even though he's suffering, his dad's like, oh, but like you're brilliant.
Well, his dad's like leeching off of his fame, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it's and again, it's just you can really feel how much Robbie Williams still loves his dad.
Yeah.
Even though his dad probably hasn't been the best to him and probably hasn't treated him very well and hasn't really been that supportive. He's just kind of along for the ride because he likes the fame and he likes the entertaining and he's proud of his son in a way, I guess. Not that I'm in their mind, but I can imagine from the film. But it's so like interesting that dynamic, how you can still like really love somebody and stuff like that, like a parent especially. Like you can still look up to them and they can still be your idol even though they've not treated you very well. It's so interesting. So there's a lot about that relationship and also about the relationship that he has with his nan as well, and how he's not there for her, and and there's some really sad scenes where he's on the where he's interviewed by Michael Parkinson and he sits on his knee and he's like, oh look nan, it's Parkinson, I'm sat on his knee, blah blah blah, but she's like got dementia and she's got absolutely no idea what's going on. She doesn't realise that it's him on the telly, and you just think, God, that's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that is just awful.
I know.
Like,
as if another gut punch in
I
Robbie
know,
Williams' life. Yeah.
And you just think, God, like, isn't life just awful? So yeah, there's a lot of like, and this is why it's so hard hitting, but it's also like heartwarming to know that like he's come through it all, and he's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got a good life, and I just think, well, I hope so. I mean, I'm only on the out looking in, but I just think it's lovely knowing that he's got through it, I
mean, you get like the not obligatory, but like rehab scene, like obviously to show he gets better as well, which like but
again, a very good display of the passing of time.
Yeah.
Through
his like room,
him destroying his room, and you know, stuff like that. It's just yeah.
And like behind the scenes, you know, it was Elton John who checked him in to that rehab to help him like get better from like previous experience, isn't it? So it's all like,
well, I feel like that is just like Elton John's life. Like whenever you hear about a celebrity going to rehab, it's like, oh, who got them sorted? Elton John. You know, I feel like if Elton John helps somebody, they like stay clean. Like, I think like that's my impression of it.
All right, Gee, high praise to Elton John in his rehab routine.
I do love Elton John. You know, I was thinking about this when I went to the toilet after I finished. I was like, oh, you know, I just love that Rocky Band so much.
I want to watch Rocky Band instead of this film.
But it's different. Like when I watch Rocket Man, like I just love Elton John songs so much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I say the Robbie Williams songs they hear are good though. You know,
some bops. Like some proper like it just reminds me of just like school discos and stuff like that. It's like it's those kind of songs. It's just it's so like kid me. You know, like it's just.
Tripping on nostalgia.
Yeah. So no, it was brilliant. Really, really, really good film.
Yeah,
really
no, definitely go and watch it. And I think like you get some interesting takeaways about Robbie Williams' life. Like even if you don't know much about him, like it's worth watching. It
leaves you wanting to learn more as well, which is probably the whole point of it. It gives him another kick in the career, doesn't it? Which is good, and I'm happy for him. But it does make me want to like just read up about it a little bit more and see what was true and what was kind of changed and stuff like that. And I think that's the whole point of a biopic, isn't it? It leaves you wanting more, so you go and discover.
Well, that's why he's done it, isn't it? That's literally why he said he's like 50 and wants more attention, so therefore biopic. And
his interviews are just brilliant, aren't they? Like you just can't like and. Again, it's very British as well. Like, and I can't keep talking about like Britain, but it's just
the whole film ends with him being like, here's my life story, and just ends it with saying "F yourselves" to the crowd watching. So it's like, thank you, Robbie Williams.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. But no, it is good. It's good charm. I think on the whole, I'm very, very surprised by this film. I'm glad they turned out to be good.
We went to see it. Yeah, I would have been so disappointed if we went to see it and it was rubbish. But it was really, really good. So I'm really glad that we did go and see it.
We're starting off 2025 with a good movie review.
Is this the first film that we've actually seen?
Well, not for me. I watched Nosferatu.
Oh no! Well, yes, you watched Nosferatu. Then we also watched Emilia Perez.
So forgettable. We don't even know her name. Don't watch it.
No. I disagree with that.
Fine.
I disagree with that. I quite liked it.
Maybe a future review. Cooking here. Maybe a future review.
Hang on a minute. I've already made that joke.
You did, yeah. You did.
You're not allowed to make it again.
I'll steal your thunder.
Yeah, shut up.
But I want to thank you for listening to this episode again. Happy 2025, anyone. It's nice to come into the new year. Anyone listening, please. Happy 2025. But we look forward to doing some episodes this year. It is most likely going to be staggered because me and Tulip are getting married this year. So
we've got a lot to do.
I know, a lot of planning stuff, but we're hoping to maybe give you guys some like good quality, maybe some like longer episodes here and there. But we'll see what comes. If there's films like this and we want to talk about them, we'll come on, give our thoughts and do an episode there. But really the schedule is kind of like it'll be all over the place for sure, like the wedding and stuff, so do bear that in mind. But we hope to see you guys in the next episode. Listeners. I know. Do this, mum. We hope to see you guys in the next episode of the Cinematic Trinity, and in the meantime, I've been Michael
and I've been Tulip.